Chair Alicia de la Rosa Bala, Ms. Maria Marcy Ballesteros, Career Executive Service Board members, senior career government officials from various national government agencies and government corporations across the country, my fellow workers in government, ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant day to everyone. I would like to express my gratitude to the Career Executive Service Board for inviting me to be your keynote speaker as you open your CES Lifelong Learning for Leadership Congress today. It is always a privilege to speak before fellow workers and leaders in government. This event provides a venue to share experiences that may give us different insights and learnings that we may find useful in our respective agencies. The theme for today's forum, Thriving Leadership, Spirit-Led Stewardship Towards a Better Normal, could not be more relevant in these times. As we can see, it is imperative for us to assess our leadership roles and values amidst the flurry of unprecedented challenges. With about 1,000 senior career government officials from various national government agencies and government corporations across the country joining us, it is my prayer that this virtual gathering strengthens your leadership qualities and renews your sense of purpose and commitment to continue the work that you do. Today, managers and leaders contend with rapidly evolving governance challenges in an increasingly volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous, and disruptive workplace and societal context. Leaders are also compelled to face diverse stakeholders and cultivate social partnerships in addition to effectively engaging employees. These challenges are magnified because in the context of the civil service, we deal with legal mandates, rules, regulations, political leaders, resource constraints, and the need to maintain a heightened sense of accountability to the citizens that we serve. And as we continue our vocation in government service, we have used technology to diminish, if not completely remove, workplace-home boundaries in our quest to provide timely service, leaving us constantly engaged in the daily grind of policy formulation and actual service delivery. At times, we lose track of the strategic outcomes we need to accomplish when intervening, but equally urgent tasks emerge. The concept of spirit-led stewardship seeks to provide positive influence on how we define success, particularly in the highest civil service, and allows us to balance service delivery, allowing prioritization to attain efficiency and effectivity. The word stewardship, simply translated, means to be a good manager, something entrusted to one's care. When leadership and stewardship are combined, it endeavors to surface a leadership paradigm that is grounded on aligned vision and values in support of steadily and carefully guiding public leaders towards attaining organizational performance and societal goals. Please allow me to expound by sharing with you some of the experience that our government has encountered during this COVID-19 pandemic. And perhaps this can also be part of your learning models in your respective leadership journeys. Of course, you all know, COVID-19 brought new and unique challenges to governments and organizations in every industry in all parts of the world. And as we, as a country, grapple with the COVID-19 pandemic, with closing of borders, curfews, lockdowns, and other movement restrictions, steward leadership may become our saving grace. With a priceless loss on lives, properties, businesses, and other resources, this has brought about uncertainty and incalculable stress to all of us. Government needed to take the lead in decision-making. The decision of governments to impose community quarantines and other restrictions were among the necessary, although very, very difficult decisions that had to be made. We had to move swiftly and decisively to address this pandemic situation in the country. However, decisions will only be as effective if they are based on informed choices. At regular meetings of the IATF, we deliberate on all issues relative to the crisis, deciding collegially and craft as early as possible the policies that will guide the different government departments and agencies, the local government units, and the general public. But all of these are in view of a noble pursuit to be stewards of nation building in light of this pandemic. This task force that I actually co-chair with the Department of Health Secretary Duque has required me and all of its members to go over and above the call of duty. This COVID-19 crisis has essentially made all of us in government step up more, perform, and deliver on top of our regular mandates and functions. It is in these trying times that we begin to realize how proactive we are in leading, in handling the current health emergency crisis and its effects. Hence, leadership plays a crucial role in crisis response. Allow me to share some of my learnings on leadership from this pandemic. First, there must be recognition, meaning that there is a consciousness that the normal way we used to conduct our affairs no longer work. It is with this recognition and subsequent acceptance that we begin to adjust our bearings and allow ourselves to be in the situation of the crisis, allowing us to properly adapt to what the situation calls for. When faced with a crisis, leaders are forced to think and behave in ways that feel unfamiliar, whether it be technological, financial, natural, or health crisis. At work or in the community, crisis demand that leaders take an emergency response plan and adapt it as new evidence and factors to be considered present themselves. During crisis situations, effective leaders must remain calm and maintain a sense of perspective. Adaptive leadership skills are what set great leaders apart. These skills represent the otherwise intangible qualities that great leaders have in common. Adaptive leadership is a unique combination of skills, perspective, and guided effort that enable true excellence. Recognition then becomes an enabling environment to allow one to visualize the needed strategies to respond. It facilitates the know-how to create need-based responses and behavioral and mindset changes based on the developments arising from a crisis, which have allowed us to look ahead. This allows us to be quick in recognizing ways to innovate and transform our existing structures and mechanisms, and in your case, your existing service delivery modes in your respective agencies to respond to the pandemic. We must be able to recognize opportunities and present alternatives to allow us to respond and eventually recover. Second, leadership does not exist in a vacuum. Thus, to respond to crisis, there should be emphasis on teams. A challenge in establishing teams, leaders need to be able to provide clear-cut priorities. So transparency is job one for leaders in a crisis. Be clear on what you know, what you do not know, and what you are going to do to learn more. As multidisciplinary and adaptable as they are, a team that knows exactly their role, priorities, and what is expected of them will be more responsive and efficient, especially in times of crisis. In doing so, collaboration, transparency, information sharing to facilitate decisions, and the attainment of intended outcomes is ensured. Again, to manage better, one needs to be able to provide a decision-making architecture in a crisis situation, wherein teams allow the delegation of decision-making at every level so that responses are quick, timely, and at the same time, the degree of accountability is highly regarded. This second point reminds us of the contingency of leadership, where its effectivity is gauged on derived solutions in times of crisis and are accorded to all people, especially the most vulnerable, in an organization in a fair and efficient manner. The third aspect that I would like to bring forth is character. This perhaps is a product of rigorous trials in leadership practice, wherein time and time again, leaders are faced with life-altering decisions. Undergoing this journey, however, provides the skill of being deliberately composed in critical times. Leadership studies tell us that this composure or deliberate calmness is the ability to detach from a fraught situation and think clearly about how one will navigate through it. This skill enables one to be humble enough to accept the needed help to solve problems and the disposition that there is always a solution for every challenge. At this level, one leads in terms of emotional intelligence, awareness of emotions, and the emotions of others, each other's experiences, and how this awareness is utilized in order to manage everyone in the organization to effectively form quality relationships, most especially in times of crisis. This allows one to decide on situations and make the organization feel safe even during very uncertain times. This third and final aspect allows us to transform a crisis situation into a more enabling one, where you as leaders become stewards to create valuable and positive change. This is where you focus to inspire change, inspire action, and initiative by showing your genuine concern to do things for the greater good. In doing so, you also transform yourself in leading selflessly to create positive impacts in the lives of others so they too can pay it forward. Okay, so taking off from this point, let me expound on a problem compounded by COVID-19 to which we are all invited as leaders to provide transformative solutions. And this is the problem of hunger. The issue of hunger and malnutrition has always been a problem as a nation. One of the President's priority agenda is to address this long prevailing problem that continues to curtail lives and bring hardship to all poor Filipino families. The irony is, despite advances in technology that allow us to produce food for the world's close to 8 billion people, hunger remains one of the biggest and most heart-wrenching problems the world confronts. According to the United Nations Hunger Report, hunger is the term used to define periods when populations are experiencing severe food insecurity, meaning that they go for entire days without eating due to lack of money, lack of access to food, or other resources. All in all, about 690 million people worldwide go to bed hungry. Food, as one of the basic human needs, food is one of the basic human needs, and the lack of it, or hunger, is one, if not the greatest violation of this basic human right. This is a serious problem, greatly compounded by COVID-19, but one which I believe we need to lead to solve, not just because we are in this present health crisis, but because of its humanitarian dimension. Addressing this basic problem requires the concerted effort of all sectors and, of course, the determination of leaders like you. Now, to provide you an idea of how hunger is gauged, a certain tool called the Global Hunger Index is used. It is designed to comprehensively measure and track hunger at the global, regional, and national levels. The GHI is designed to raise awareness and understanding of the struggle against hunger, provide a means to compare the levels of hunger between countries and regions, and call attention to the areas of the world in greatest need of additional resources to eliminate hunger. Now, in 2020, in the 2020 Global Hunger Index, the Philippines ranks 69th out of about 117 countries. With sufficient data to calculate the 2020 GHI scores, we scored 19.0, and that brings the Philippines to a level of hunger that is considered moderate. But compare that to the country's GHI index rating last year, 2019, the Philippines ranked 70th out of 117 countries at a level of hunger classified as serious. So, our scores and ratings have slightly improved, but the fact remains that we are still confronted by serious levels of hunger. Because of COVID, especially. Noong September nga lang mahigit sa 7 milyong pamilya, or 7.6 million families to be exact, sa Pilipinas ang nakaranas ng gutom sa loob na nakalipas na 3 buwan, ayon sa Social Weather Station Survey. Ang naitalang 30.7% ay ang pinakamataas sa ating kasaysayan. The survey revealed 7.6 million Filipino families reported involuntary hunger amidst this ongoing pandemic. And the hunger incidence in September actually saw a 9.8 increase from the 20.9% level, or an estimated 5.2 million families in July. So this new figure, according to SWS, was due to an increase in scores in all survey areas across the country. So hinintay na lang natin ngayon yung December survey ng SWS. But all these numbers and data provide us a picture of how to effectively and efficiently direct our zero hunger initiatives through the concerted, cooperative, and coordinated efforts of all government agencies and stakeholders. By harmonizing the different government programs to solve hunger and investing in communities and organizations to provide a linkage of support to program beneficiaries via a multi-sectoral approach. But I could not emphasize it even more. The only way for this to end is that if we, as leaders, are conscious of this problem, for us to better develop and oversee mechanisms to attain zero hunger. Now, with this as one of the primary considerations, the Interagency Task Force on Zero Hunger was established by Executive Order Number 101, signed by the President in January 10, 2020. This task force, which I chair, is mandated to ensure that government policies, initiatives, and projects on attaining zero hunger are coordinated, responsive, and effective to ensure not only a whole of government, but a whole of nation approach in eradicating hunger. Part of our intended output is a national food policy, which will provide the outline of our national priorities based on a comprehensive understanding of the hunger problem and its related issues, while providing a roadmap for achieving zero hunger, taking into consideration all existing laws, issuances, as well as our international laws and treaty obligations. So last October 16, we launched it, coinciding with the celebration of World Food Day. And this NFP, or National Food Policy, has 6 technical working groups representing 6 key result areas, all of which are aimed to attain zero hunger. So the task force KRAs are: 1, KRA 1, to review and rationalize existing policies, rules, and regulations related to our zero hunger efforts. KRA 2, to ensure that there is available and affordable food with focus on the supply side of the food chain, the physical availability of food, and its affordability and price stability. KRA 3, to secure nutrition adequacy, to end all forms of malnutrition, to focus on this hidden hunger and utilize food that is essential in adequate nutrition. KRA 4, to secure food accessibility and food safety, and this means the economic and physical access to food, providing access to food for our most vulnerable sectors, nutritionally at risk pregnant women, pregnant teenagers, children, senior citizens, and the like. KRA 5, to ensure sustainable food systems, resiliency, and food stability, especially during emergencies, calamities, and pandemics, to address disruptions in the food supply chain. And many of the lessons we've learned from COVID-19 will be applied to this KRA. And KRA 6, which is equally as important, and this is really people participation, to ensure information, education, and awareness of the people, to inspire people to participate, to inspire a change in behavior in terms of looking at the problem of hunger and elevating it into a level of discourse where everyone can participate to solve it. Noting that food security and hunger are multidimensional issues which require help and participation of the different stakeholders, we have initially partnered with key non-government actors and to discuss the national food policy and solicit support to address the hunger situation in the country amidst the pandemic, which was compounded by the onslaught of the recent typhoons. With this, I'm honored to say that member agencies comprising the technical working group for the 6 KRAs of the NFP are committed to continue the work on zero hunger towards poverty reduction, nutrition adequacy, food security, good governance, and people participation. Now, admittedly, all of these efforts will not attain sustainability if not for leaders like you to be our champions to push further these initiatives. As we address the most pressing need of providing food during these very trying times, we need to have a systemic and sustainable solution that engages our food producers, lawmakers, businesses, and the general public. It is our responsibility as leaders to provide the needed nudge, the needed enabling environment to elevate the problem of hunger into a level of discourse to attain awareness and consciousness that all may be part of providing solutions. And in doing so, as we recognize that to lead this change, we also recognize that there may be resistance that come with it. But this will not deter us from leading. Instead, we dig within ourselves to clearly understand and ask the right questions, to identify our necessary strategies to make everyone involved. And only when you get to the bottom of why resistance is happening can you truly empathize and help to move individuals along the path to change in a way that engages them and makes them comfortable. This is at the heart of compassionate leadership. Thus, I firmly believe that with you, we can face this problem of hunger and this COVID-19 pandemic. With you as stewards, the country gains flexibility in facing obstacles, maintains an attitude of nurturing to feedback. It is not devoid of the ability to inspire, motivate, and mobilize groups and generations. It sustains the acquisitions of strategic and long-term thinking and decision-making skills. Maintains a value of empathy and courage to help and step up for people's needs and concerns, a true bayanihan spirit. But most of all, with you, the faith in government is kept alive. It takes a lot of discipline to lead, and it also takes a lot of heart. A good barometer of our character, not only as leaders, is how we interact and work with others. Leadership is not about giving orders or having sole proprietorship of bright ideas. Leadership is about inspiring others to contribute to a worthy cause and move together towards achieving that goal. If you aspire to be great, serve. The nobility of our life's work cannot be measured by the organization we choose to join or the kind of work that we choose to do. We are all born into the world for a good purpose. And that purpose really is just to do good, no matter who we are or what our circumstances in life is. Leadership is about service, and we all have it in each of us to be leaders in our own right. Yes, we are facing unprecedented times, but we remain hopeful, especially when we see the courage, resilience, and perseverance of our people and of many inspiring and promising leaders that our younger generation can look up to. As we move forward from this forum as public servants, I encourage each one of you to continue to be agents of positive change and lead the path towards a responsible, ethical, and accountable bureaucracy. Indeed, COVID has brought tremendous challenges on all fronts, but let me assure you that government will continue to work to make life better for every Filipino. As we transition towards the next phase in the war against COVID-19, I once again call on your dedication to serve. The pandemic has clearly robbed the world of its normalcy, freedom, and peace of mind. In this short span of time, we find ourselves disarmed and combating an enemy we have only just begun to understand. An enemy we do not know, cannot see, or predict its next move. An enemy that has made the entire world, the mightiest of corporations and organizations, its captive. It has regressed the world economy back by several years, but transported us to a future instantly. A future we were only beginning to imagine. But I'm confident that with you at the helm of your respective offices, you will inspire more and more stakeholders to step up and participate in paving the way to economic and public health recovery. I salute you all for continuing to do your share, not just for national healing, but for nation building. Receive my gratitude for your generosity and your commitment to be of service and to be prime movers for our country amidst the uncertainty of these most trying times. You are all pillars of strength and hope for all of us. Isang karangalan ang maglingkod sa bayan na kasama kayong lahat. Daghang salamat.